Hey there, green thumbs or soon-to-be gardeners. Let me ask you something. Have you ever excitedly planted your garden in May, only to watch things wilt, rot, or never even sprout? Yeah, you're not alone. May is a super important month for gardening, especially if you're just getting started. The sun's warming up, the soil feels right, and everything in you says, let's grow some stuff. But here's the thing, a few common beginner mistakes this month can totally wreck your garden before it even gets going. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the 5 biggest mistakes beginner gardeners make in May, and more importantly, how you can easily avoid them. These are practical, beginner-friendly tips, and by the end, you'll feel way more confident stepping into your garden. So grab your gloves, maybe a cup of coffee, and let's dig in. Mistake 1. Overwatering. All right, let's start with one of the most common beginner mistakes out there, overwatering. It might seem like you're doing your plants a favor by giving them a nice drink every day, but too much water can actually drown them. Yep, roots need air just as much as they need moisture. And when the soil stays soggy, roots can rot, and your plants start to struggle or even die. So how do you know if you're overwatering? Look for yellowing leaves, soft or mushy stems, and soil that feels wet for days after watering. If that sounds familiar, you're probably being a little too generous with the hose. Here's a simple fix. Stick your finger into the soil about 2 inches deep. If it still feels damp, hold off on watering. Most plants prefer to dry out a little between waterings. I used to water my tomatoes every single morning until I noticed they weren't growing right. Once I cut back to every few days, and only when the soil felt dry, they bounced back and started thriving. Remember, plants don't like wet feet. Give them room to breathe. Don't go anywhere just yet, because mistake 3 is one that almost everyone overlooks, and it can completely mess with your garden's success. Seriously, even if you're watering just right and planting on time, if you miss this step, your plants might still struggle. So stick with me, because up next, we're talking about timing, zones, and how to stop setting your garden up for failure before it even starts. Mistake 2. Planting too early or too late. Timing is everything in gardening, especially in May. One of the biggest mistakes beginners make is either planting too early when it's still chilly, or too late when the prime window has passed. It's easy to get excited and rush to the nursery the second the sun peeks out, but planting before the soil has properly warmed up can seriously stunt your plants, or worse, they could die from a surprise cold snap. So, how do you know when it's the right time to plant? Here's a quick tip. Look up your USDA plant hardiness zone. It'll tell you your local frost dates and what grows best in your area. You can find it online with just your zip code. Also, get into the habit of checking soil temperature, not just the air. You can grab a basic soil thermometer online or at a garden store. Most summer veggies, like tomatoes and peppers, need soil temperatures around 60 F or warmer to really thrive. I've learned the hard way that planting too soon usually means I'm replanting later. Trust me, wait until conditions are right. Your garden will thank you. Mistake 3. Ignoring soil health. Let's get one thing straight. Soil isn't just dirt. It's the foundation of your garden. And if you ignore it, you'll be disappointed no matter how great your plants or seeds are. Many beginners grab a few bags of cheap soil or just plant straight into the ground without knowing what's really going on down there. The problem? If your soil is too compacted, low on nutrients, or doesn't drain well, your plants won't grow the way you want them to. Here's the good news. Testing your soil is super easy. You can get a basic soil test kit from any garden center or online, or even send a sample to your local extension office for detailed results. Look for things like AH level, nitrogen, and drainage. If you don't want to get too technical, mix in compost before planting. It adds nutrients, improves texture, and helps with water retention. Fun fact, healthy soil contains more living organisms in a single handful than there are people on Earth. Wild, right? So treat your soil like it's alive, because it is. And when you feed it right, it'll reward you big time. All right, we've already covered some big ones, but don't go anywhere yet. Because mistake 5? That one can ruin even a perfectly planted, well-watered garden, just because of where you put it. Seriously, it's a simple detail most people overlook, and it can make or break your harvest. But before we get there, let's talk about pruning. Yep, another spot where beginners often slip up big time. Mistake 4, not pruning or pruning wrong. Let's talk about a sneaky one: pruning. A lot of beginner gardeners either avoid it altogether or go a little too wild with the scissors. But here's the thing, pruning the right way at the right time can totally change how well your plants grow. In May, many plants are in full growth mode, which makes it a great time to clean things up. But don't just start chopping prune with a purpose. Dead, damaged, or diseased branches? Cut them. Branches crossing and rubbing? Get rid of one. But don't start trimming healthy new growth unless you know what you're doing. A common myth is that pruning always encourages growth. Not true. Over-pruning can actually stress your plants and slow them down. And for flowering plants or veggies, pruning too much can mean fewer blooms or less food later. Here's a simple tip: use clean, sharp tools and always cut just above a leaf node or bud facing the direction you want new growth to go. Once I learned how to prune my basil and tomatoes properly, not only did they look better, but they also produced way more. Don't skip this step. Pruning smart equals better results. Mistake 5, choosing the wrong location. Last but definitely not least, location matters more than you think. You could have the perfect soil, water just right, and prune like a pro, but if your plants aren't in the right spot, they're going to struggle. One of the biggest mistakes new gardeners make is picking a location that looks nice but doesn't get enough sun. Most vegetables and flowering plants need at least 6-8 hours of direct sunlight a day. Without it, you'll get leggy plants, fewer blooms, and way less food. Here's an easy trick. Spend a day observing your yard or balcony. Where does the sun hit longest? Where's the shade in the afternoon? You can even use free sun tracking apps to figure it out. Another common goof? Planting too close to walls or fences where air can't circulate. That leads to mold, pests, and unhappy plants. I once planted a whole row of peppers in a cute corner that only got morning light, and let's just say, they looked cute, but they never produced a single pepper. Lesson learned. So, before you plant, make sure your location works for the plant, not just your design. So, there you have it. 5 super common gardening mistakes beginners make in May, and now you know exactly how to avoid them. Don't overwater. Check that soil first. Plant at the right time for your zone. Treat your soil like it matters, because it does. Prune smart, not randomly. And pick a spot with sunlight and good airflow. Gardening's a journey, and every mistake is just a step toward getting better. Now I'd love to hear from you. What's one gardening mistake you've made? Or something you're unsure about? Drop it in the comments. I read everyone, and I'd love to help. If you found this video helpful, give it a like, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss next week's video. We're talking about beginner-friendly veggies you can still plant this month. Thanks for watching and happy gardening.